I did some research. I found out that most women never marry the man they really want to be with. Oh, I'm about to mess up the church's money, ain't it? Let me tell you, this is how I figured it out. Let me tell you something you've never heard a man say since you've been alive. You've never heard a man say this since you've been on this planet. You've never heard a man say, she grew on me. But every woman knows a woman who would say in front of the man she loved, committed to God, financed the wedding and his family. When I first met him, he was not my type at all. He was short. He was going bald. He had little small hands. I don't like men with small hands, but I mean, eventually he grew on me. That is the rudest thing to say about a man you spending the rest of your life with. This man grew on you like a scab, like a wart, like eczema, like eczema.
My little baby all cuddled up, huh? Am I your favorite pillow?
Huh?
Am I your favorite pillow?
You're my favorite pillow.
Do you love me?
Of course I love you, baby.
How much do you love me?
Huh?
How much do you love me?
The most in the world.
In the world?
The world.
The whole world?
The whole world, baby.
Oh, my little baby. My big boy. Huh?
You're a little baby.
My little baby.
You're a little baby.
Can I kiss?
Bro.
Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Where are you going? Where are you going? Why are you walking away? Where are you going? Ray, stop. I'll delete the video. Ray, open the door.
No.
Open the door.
Welcome back to the channel. You see the information on the screen, so you already know what I'm about. So let's get into it. So those of you that are brand new to my channel might not have ever heard me talk about this concept when it comes to what social media calls simps and also what social media calls pick-me's. And see, there is a such thing in my belief system of a toxic simp or a toxic pick-me, okay? So before I go any deeper, I want to make sure I make that clear. So a toxic simp is just somebody that is just going to allow a person just to run all over them. That person's always going to get their way. That means that woman is always going to get her way. It's always about what she wants. And at that particular point, the man is not really going to keep her interest, okay? And it's the same thing when you have a toxic pick-me. A woman who is basically hurting herself in order to basically please a man. You know, she's going above and beyond, you know, in order to please a man. But what we see in all of these three videos, which is interesting because I've talked about all these things before, is the social media really doesn't know how to use its terms. And the reason why it doesn't know how to use its terms is because it's using those terms to grab your attention. It's the same thing when you look at a lot of the thumbnails. A lot of the thumbnails, you know, people have airbrushed them. They've added tears, you know, to people's faces. You know, they've, you know, big expressions and things like that. Why? Because people are attached to emotion. So they're looking for an emotional response. If you can create an emotional response in people, then they're going to love it. They're going to click on it. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of influencers are just about money. They're not about helping you, right? And I've tried to kind of explain that over and over again. And I am not even going to lie. You know, a lot of times when I'm making my thumbnails and when I'm doing videos, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, man, I should spice this up. You know, I could get more views if I did it this way. I could do more if I did it this way. And it's like, I keep thinking, well, what happens when I'm standing before God and he's like, okay, play that video. You know the one. Yeah, play that again. I want him, my child, the one I sent out here, you know, in order to help people. Play that video. And then I got, you know, then now I'm in trouble, right? And then I'm like, okay, I plead the blood of Jesus over this video so we don't have to watch this video. And the point I'm trying to make here is social media a lot of times grabs information and it twists it in order to, like I say, build itself up and make more money. And a lot of these people, like I say, they just don't care. Okay, I'm gonna read you guys some comments, and this is actually from, the video where the lady was kind of rubbing, her boyfriend. And a guy says, I don't like that she did this. He was thinking that it was a safe place to be vulnerable, and she thinks it's funny. I'm so mad because we want our men to be sensitive enough to handle and express emotion, but then, women use this against them, right? And then another person says, this is cringe. Why post it? Do you really love him? Everything is not for the internet. And then we have another one saying, let's normalize being affectionate to women that we care about and love. See, you got to understand, again, what's going on. The woman, she knew exactly what she was doing when she posted it because she knew that this would get attention. And she even did it by even saying, catching my boyfriend being a simp. And see, that's what the problem is. And see, this is what confuses people when it comes to getting married, right? Because this is how it works. If you are not, as a man, a little bit of a simp, you're not more than likely going to get married. And if you do, it's because you're marrying someone who you can take advantage of, or that woman is in a toxic place where she really just doesn't understand what a good man is versus what a bad man is. There's plenty of women like that, right? And that leans to the other side, the pick-me's, because you have a lot of pick-me's that will put up with anything, just to get married. And see, again, for the women, you really need a little bit of pick-me in order to get married, to a really good guy. Because a really great guy that understands his worth, he's not going to just marry anybody. That's why I'm always saying simps and pick-me's are really the same thing. It's just that we just use different terms for the different genders. But in reality, if you're not at least 70%, 65 to 70% a simp, 65 to 70% a pick-me, I actually believe it's going to be very difficult for you to get married. Because see, nobody wants to marry someone, okay, that they cannot at least open up to, that they cannot be in that situation where they, can give to the other person and then the person give back to them. Like, I mean, I'm just being real. See, a lot, there's a lot of places out here, and like I say, back in the day, the last 20 years, they would act like men are not givers, okay? But what I've learned is a lot of women that pick men that are not givers. Same thing, there's a lot of men that pick women that are not givers. All right. And so it created this narrative for a long period of time where a lot of women would just say things like, oh, men are selfish. Oh, men, they'll never do for you. Women have to work a 40-hour week, and we got to come home and cook, and we got to clean, and we got to take care of the babies. And a lot of you have heard those types of stories. But you have plenty of men that come home, clean up, might cook here and there, are sitting down with their kids to do the homework, blah, blah, blah. But the reason why you don't hear these stories is because, again, you always have to remember that at the end of the day, women, you make more money selling to women, okay? Because women buy more product. So not only are they consuming the television or the video or the social media, but they're also consuming any product that comes from a person that they trust. All right. And I'm going to be real with you because I've had a lot of people even ask me and say, hey, Jay, when are you going to write some books? When are you going to get some stuff out there? I would love to support you and actually read some of your stuff so I can, kind of have that book, right next to me if I want to go and refer to some things. So it's not even just that, women will buy it. They're actually seeking it. They actually want it. They understand that that's a part of the package. But for a lot of men, they don't want that. And what's really interesting to me is like when I look at my shorts, because I've been trying to put up more shorts lately. And when I look at the shorts, it's overwhelmingly women that are watching those shorts. It's talking about 85, 90% of the people watching the shorts are women. But then when I have a long form video, a 20-minute, 30-minute video, while I do have a lot of women that are watching the video, there's more men that will watch the video and watch it to the end. Which is interesting, where a lot of women will abandon it maybe 7 minutes in, 8 minutes in, because they want that quick, type of hit, which is very interesting to me. I would have never thought it would be that way, but I do find that generally is how things work. And when I look at social media in general, social media is actually gearing itself towards women. It's always been. It's like you don't see bullying of boys unless they're, gay or they're very feminine. You don't see that on social media. You don't see it. It's not little boys coming home at 13 saying, they making fun of me on Instagram. You don't see that. You see little girls saying that. Why? Because the little girls are very quick to be out there on social media while the boys are actually sitting around playing video games. They're not concerned about social media at all. But again, just to give you some background as we go forward. Now, again, if you've been tracking with me for any decent amount of time, you would know that what the first guy said, I want not only 100% agree with it, I've been saying it for at least a couple of months, if not longer. Women have to understand that many women, not all, but like he said, and like I said, about 50% of women have a really bad picker. Okay. They can't pick a man to save their life. Okay. They don't understand what they should be looking for. They don't understand what's a good man, what's a bad man. And they just honestly are confused. And so what you see is that a lot of these women, they marry men, okay, that they settled for. All right. But to be honest with you, a lot of men settle as well. It's just that we're not verbal about it. So I did want to make sure that I make that caveat before I continue. So when you start to look at a lot of women and the ladies that are watching this particular video, this is why I'm always encouraging you to do what? Take 15 to 20 minutes and talk to a guy. Give yourself a moment to talk to any man that in your opinion is average looking and above. Any man that treats you nicely. Any man that is willing to have a conversation with you. If you run into that man, talk to him. Spend some time with him. Okay, get to know who he is under the surface. All right, because that's really where the problem is. We say that men are visual creatures, but I've always known that women are visual as well. But what they're looking for is not necessarily always a tall guy or not necessarily always, a guy that has maybe a suit on or something like that. What they're looking for is a guy that is familiar and generally familiar to the sexual energy that they are attracted to. All right. And so it's a little bit more difficult to quantify. With men are looking for a woman who appears as though she can create strong, healthy babies and bring them into the world. And if you don't believe that, again, think about all the things that men are attracted to. They're attracted to the hips. They're attracted to the waist. They're attracted to the breast. They're attracted to, black men, the butt. They're attracted to thighs. They're attracted to the skin. Okay, these are the things, okay, they talk about health. Skin tells you your health. If you ever want to clean up your skin, I've always telling women, stop eating sugar. Sugar is the number one thing that's going to cause breakouts. And breakouts are what causes marks. Okay, and again, it's so funny because people don't talk about this in mainstream media. Then when you talk about the butt, hips, thighs, all of that is to create babies. Okay, and the woman has extra meat on her thighs to not only the strength of the thigh to help to push out that baby, but also that's food. Just in case, the woman is in a situation where maybe she can't eat for a while, she still has food. That's where a lot of women store, fat, which is basically turns into food if you haven't eaten in a day or you can only eat a little bit. And the breasts are used for what? Milk creation. All right. So all of these things are really just about birthing a child. Okay. Bringing the child into the world. But for men, it's different because it's not just about the old school hunting and gathering. It's also about the romantic notion lined up with the man that the woman, understands. So for instance, if if a woman has a father that was a computer person, like I find a lot of people that follow me are engineers and into computers and different things like that, cybersecurity. So a lot of these men are sitting down, typing all day, but they're very intelligent, they're very smart, and they walk kind of in that energy. So when a woman that is used to that, okay, and maybe her dad was like that, and her brother was like that, and maybe her first boyfriend was like that, then she's going to be attracted to that. It's the same way if, like I said, if she might have dated the guy might have been ugly, but he had a really cool style. He knew how to style himself. Then a woman might go through her life very attracted to men that understand style, but they're not necessarily what we would consider conventionally attractive if you took off all the adornments. Does this make sense? So now when you are basically looking at women, what they're doing is they're picking really based off their comfort, based off of what they're used to. And see, this is why I'm always encouraging women is that you have to do something different, because most women, like I said, their first energy encounter, okay, romantic understanding comes from such a young age that it generally is wrong. It generally won't help you, especially if you did not have a good father. Okay, so dating some dude at 13, 14, 15, 16, and now he was the first person that touched you sexually, and now you're basically using him as an example of what you should be picking at 30 years old, that's going to do nothing but hurt you. Okay, because that little boy should have been paying attention to his grades or doing whatever he was, but instead he was in the corner of the school filling you up. So you got to think about it from that perspective, and you have to change, your perspective so that you can get, to the man that you are looking for, right? But again, what did that first guy again go into? He again talked about what? Half of the women he runs into, they will get in front of their man and they're basically like, yeah, I wasn't feeling him. Yeah, he grew on me. Yeah, he wasn't my type. And again, I've talked about that. But see, here's where it's disrespectful, ladies. And I just want to make sure I drop this nugget. That is never okay. I'm just letting you know that. That is never okay. It is accepted, but it is not okay. If you ever want to put a wedge between you and your husband, you will say statements like that. It's like if you first meet him and you're like, man, you're nothing like I would have ever picked, but you're a great guy and I like you and blah, blah, blah. And then you all get married. As soon as you get married, you've told that story to several of your friends. You might have even told that story to his parents. But once you get married, don't say that again, ever, because it is blatant disrespect. And honestly, it makes you look bad, because it basically, from the man's perspective, it is basically a woman saying, I would have picked every man but you, because in the end of the day, and this is how a lot of podcasters would say it, I was chasing the bad boy. I liked the bad boy. I like what the bad boy did to me. And I didn't think that your lame butt could ever, match what the bad boy can do. And that's how it feels to men. But remember, men compartmentalize. So we take this information, we lock it in a box, and then we put it away. But that is blatant disrespect. And you should never disrespect your man by saying bad things or even things that you think are okay because you've heard them before in front of your man, or really, honestly, in front of anyone. It's like I said, I understand that there's a transitional period because you might be in shock and wonder and awe at the fact that, wow, okay, I got a great guy, but yeah, I would have never picked him. He doesn't look like blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's cool. You went through your shock and awe. You had a couple of months to talk about it with your friends and with other people. But after that, leave it alone. Again, how would you feel, ladies, if a man is basically, he marries you, okay, and then he's like, well, I always like women with bigger breasts. She ain't really got much up top, really ain't got much, in the back either. But, I just liked her a lot. Or, oh, yeah, she's cool and everything, but, she got jacked up skin. She's not really the type that I really like. I like women with really clear skin. But, it's just the fact that, I don't know, she was cool and we had a good vibe, so I was going with it. Would you like that? But see, women have to understand that a lot of times they get away with things that they should never be able to get away with. And it is disrespect. But that's not really the point of this video. The point of this video is really twofold. First, like I've said before, if you don't walk with a little bit of pick me energy and a little bit of simp energy, which I'm just saying being a giver, being nice to the person that you are dating / courting / get married with, you will not sustain a relationship. I'm just being honest with you. So this whole concept of people looking down on simps and they're looking down on pick-me's, you really, really, really need to take that and throw it out the window unless the person is toxic. And one of the things that I've learned about, like I say, the internet is, again, social media leans into one word and it groups everybody in it because people want to have these buzzwords. But like, many of you that have been following me more than 6 months know I talk about successful women a lot. But I also use the term uber successful because it's a huge difference between a woman that's making $250,000 a year and a woman that's making $50,000. But the reason why people love to say successful is because now that can incorporate a lot of women at a lot of different levels, because most women would consider themselves pretty successful if they actually were just a school teacher. A lot of women would consider themselves successful even in that group. So now you can go from a school teacher all the way up to a nurse, all the way up to a CEO. Okay, even all the way up to Oprah. So now you have more people in that group. But a school teacher is not going to suffer in dating. It is going to be the woman that makes $250,000 or more, because now she's in the top 7% of all earners. And up at that level, there's very few men that might be checking for her. All right. So again, with these terms, they're trying to do the exact same thing. Okay, so that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. And then again, I want to make sure that you all understand, especially women, is that many of you, if you have been dating men and you can sit here as you're listening to this video and you're like, yeah, Tariq and Bob and Malik and Latravius and Michael and Jonathan, they really was the same man in different bodies. At that point, you have to understand that your picker is messed up. That the type of man that you're attracted to is not a good man. And you have to change your perspective. So you might be saying, okay, Jay, how do you do that? And that's simple. You look to the married men around you, okay, and you figure out what their type is. You take their average energy, okay, and you use that type of energy, and you seek out that type of energy in a man. It really is that simple. It's not going to be exactly perfect. Again, you still have to vet, you still have to have conversation, but at least in this way, you have a better chance of picking a guy. And it's like I've told you all before, I've even dealt with that in my own dating, where I run into a woman and she'll be like, man, you're so different and blah, blah, blah. But then she'll get excited. Why? Because I'm different, but then I'm different good. I'm not different bad. Right? But the more she says it, if she says it once or twice, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm okay with that. But it's like the more she says it, the more, again, I start thinking in the back of my mind, well, maybe I shouldn't be dating this woman. Because she's never really been with a good guy. And so really deep down in her heart, she really wants that bad guy. And will she one day try to cheat because she still thirsts for that bad guy? It's like any type of drug. And I've kind of tried to tell you all, sex for people, period, but especially for women, is very much like a drug. Okay? And so they want that hit that they're used to. And so even if, a person changes a little bit as they go, okay, I cannot compete with 20 years or even 15 years. If I'm just meeting a woman and she's 30, okay, she could have had 15 years or even more, okay, of bad men in her life. And so now I'm competing with all of that romantic energy. And even if she goes my way, there's still men in the back of her mind, depending upon what she has done. There's still men in the back of her mind that she might be like, yeah, man, that was that one time we was in the back of the school and I couldn't believe that I let him do that to me in a car, but it was kind of fun. And see, that's that whole thing. And that's the point I'm trying to make. It's like what you're doing to the man every time you say that, it's almost like you are telling him, I remember the past. I remember what my true addiction is. And that is something that, I'm encouraging women not to do. It disrespects him and it also reminds you. Instead, what you should be doing is paying attention to the blessing that is in front of you, recognizing that God has sent your person, he's answered your prayers. And so now you should be paying attention to that man and start to believe that, no, this man is best in everything. My picker was messed up, and now I got a man, and no man behind me can compare to the man I have right now. And that to me is a much better way to handle it. So remember, next year we will be having Zoom lives, which we call Thursday Talks, and that is going to be on Thursday, okay, at 7 p.m. Eastern. You can also go out to Christian Singles Connect or Christian Millennials Connect if you're under 40. Okay, that's for the people under 40. So you can go out there, you can sign up, even if you're not in Atlanta, it's okay, because, that will just give you a little bit more connection when we do like the Zoom calls and other events that are more worldwide. All right. So if you're interested in that, go out to that. And that's just another way, at least for right now, that we're going to handle things. OK, so if you're interested in dating and being, profiled out here, again, you can see that information down below. I am going to do some tweaking, to it as we go into 2025. But just let you know that I'm still, not giving up on it. I'm still pushing it ahead as well. All right. So again, I did want to thank all of you for the wonderful year of 2024. I thank many of you for, for following me, for, subscribing. Some of you, even for joining the membership. And I just thank you for supporting, because at the end of the day, it really does take a lot of support. I don't think people really kind of understand that, but it really does, because, somebody could put out a video, and I'll be honest, some of my older videos, in my opinion, are some of my better ones. But the way the algorithm works is it needs hits, it needs likes, it needs thumbs up in order to push the video, because that's what it's concerned about. So I can't do this, without all of you. And it's the same thing. That's why I like to do the Thursday Talks and Zoom live type of information, because what that does is, again, it's a place for me to learn. It's a place for me to listen to you all and to learn how to serve you better, and even to understand what you might be experiencing individually. So I would encourage you. I definitely love to, to see y'all stuff in the comments, but I can't always get to the comments. But, the Zoom lives on Thursday is that time. That's 2 hours where I'm 100%, sold out to, talking to you, to listening to you, and actually being able to interact. So please, 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 like I say, be involved in those things. But again, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you all in the very next video.